Ah, is this... Hopefully this works. Is the live chat working?
Ah,
Maybe. We'll
is
figure it
this
out. Okay, my microphone is on. Um, let's try this again. Um, sick. I'm gonna go drop this in various discords. Advertisement. Hopefully this works a little better. Maybe. I don't know. Hmm. Oh, here, let me. Hey, there we go. Got it working. Show me your. Awesome. And I'm gonna put this here as a record for myself. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Look at that. Here we go. Not working. Yeah, good. Glad to hear it. All right. I have 4 decks on my desk currently. We've got... Oh, we got spacecraft. I'm gonna do that one. Upload that one. This whole deck is basically just every spacecraft I could get my hands on. So, do with that what you will. But, yeah. So we are doing this. I gotta say, it is awkward, like, chatting to a chat and not actually chatting to people that are in, like, a Discord call. It's very odd to me. We'll get there. Just gotta get used to it. So, I'm gonna move this over here to where I actually can see it. There we go. Now if I'm chatting, it's mostly... I could probably move this here, so when I actually chat, it looks like I'm looking in the camera like an adult. Uh, yeah, this is great. So, yeah. Whole whopping 18 cents. This deck is probably going to be budget as all get out. Which, if you have any questions about my other decks, I'd be more than happy to pull up some of the deck lists. I have about 20 to 25 decks currently in Archidect, so we are well on our way. Or if you have any questions, any deck card suggestions, I'd be more than happy to talk about them while I mess around with this. Because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to make my life a little bit more interesting while I do this. Um, I also do have my TikTok link there if you want to follow that. Because eventually I want to stream there as well. I'll need another camera, which I'll get that eventually. I'm working on trying to get all the tech figured out before I do any nonsense like that. Um, I'm about, what, 20 or so followers away on TikTok from actually being able to live stream there. I can live stream now on um, computer, but once I can do it on my phone, I can actually mess around more with the decks that I'm working on back here, which these ones that you can hopefully see, these are all decks that I've already logged in uh, into Archidect, so they're just kind of sitting back there until I move on to the next toolbox, literal toolbox of decks that I have. Um, and that's really it. This deck is, excuse me, this deck is basically made up of, I think this is entirely made up of Edge of Eternities. I don't think there's a single bit of nonsense that's in this deck. I don't even know if I have a Soul Ring in this thing. Like this, which honestly I should probably smack a Soul Ring into this thing because it really is. It's very heavy in the generic mana thing. It's got all the shocks from Edge of Eternities. Yeah, I mean we'll see at the end I suppose, but I don't think I have a Soul Ring in it, which I know my some of my friends will be very proud. I'm minorly harassed about my use of Soul Ring, but it's a good card. I know there's a couple people that are wanting it banned, and while I agree with the sentiment, it's the same thing as trying to run basically anything else that's, you know, kind of quintessential to the format. Like it's a powerful card, it fits in everything, and it's most everything. There's a couple decks like that 5-color Omnath that if you actually run a Soul Ring in that, you're probably hurting yourself more than you're helping yourself because a lot of that is colored mana heavy, so you actually have to be really careful about how you build those. Um, I've wanted to, but at the same time, I I just haven't gotten around to it, and I've got this 5-color deck, and I've got my slivers and dinosaurs, which that's one heck of a deck to mess around with. I can't wait to actually play that one in paper again. Um, Probably gonna bring that one and mess around at Magfest with that. So, with any luck, I will actually come back with some new friends and followers from that because I am super jazzed to be able to go to Magfest again this year. And I know that they've got a relatively decently sized Magic community, so I'm looking forward to be able to play some Commander with complete strangers again. It's nice to escape the pod, as it were. I love my pod to death, but I will say it's nice to get out of the house, as it were. I do have a singular copy of Ragos Deft Gastronaut. I know there's that one guy on TikTok that is like collecting every copy that he can, and he's driving up prices on the card from like the 10-cent card that it was to now what looks to be about a 50-cent card. It's kind of hilarious, honestly. Um, he gets some real he gets some real hate from that one. I think it's I think it's too funny. It's a standard set, so it's not like the card's going to go out of style anytime soon. It's not, it's not a hyper powerful card. It's funny. I mean, yes, a shrimp actually did fry that rice, but that's about it. That's where the joke for it really ends in my mind. But some people have really found it quite insulting the amount of lobsters that he has, and it's amusing. But yeah, come on in. I have the Discord somewhere on one of these screens popped open, and I also have the chat. So if you have any questions, maybe about mana, maybe about Magic in general, or just the deck I'm building, or any deck that I'm building, really, not just this one, I'd be more than happy to talk about them. Um, but yeah, this is I think the spacecraft thing, the feature that they the Serica. I think spacecraft are actually really fun. It's kind of why I built this, is because they're interesting. I think that vehicles are a bit. I don't want to say child's play because they're a lot more intricate in the way they work, because you can get a lot more done with vehicles than you can with spacecraft. Just in general, being able to crew them at instant speed does a lot of favors. But at the same time, if you could station um, at instant speed, these would be not only ridiculously powerful, but also a bit dumb. There's no. They made the right decision. The design team made very much the right decision when they made these sorcery speed. I think it's a fantastic balance. Um, Aside from that, charge counters. It's nice that it's counters and you don't have to like tap a creature worth, like for the Sarima. It's nice that you don't have to tap a creature that's 7 power to get it up there. Mostly because it wouldn't make sense because you've got stuff that's like 12 or I think what 20 for the Infinity Elevator or whatever it is. So while it would be possible, it kind of would defeat the purpose in general. That's not a good trade-off in my mind. Can't type. This is also going to help a lot with. I have a really bad habit, not only of touching my face, which now I get to keep record of it, and I gotta not do that. But I have a hard time talking and typing, so this will be the weirdest speech therapy ever. We're gonna get there. Mostly because I have a terrible habit of not being able to read while I speak. Um, but again, we'll get there. I learned recently um, that the lead magic designer, Gavin, one of the first cards, if not the first card that he designed, was actually the card that got me into Magic. Which the way it got me into Magic was I immediately sold it. Like a Sidri Galvanic Genius. I will actually have to look that one up. Is that the one that you turn your is that the one that you turn your Aetherflux Reservoir into a creature and just bop people? Yes, it is. That is exactly the card I thought it was. Just bop somebody over the head over Aetherflux Reservoir. Um, aside from that, I think it's interesting. You could do a lot of stuff with it. Um, the first thing that comes to mind, aside from Aetherflux Reservoir, is probably like a dark steel forge. Just having a nice 9/9 indestructible creature that also has Death Touch and Lifelink. Um, or like goofy little things that combo with the Virulent Silencer here. Non-token artifact creature. Like the Silencer fits great into that. Um, it adds a nice sub theme of vehicles would also, yeah, it does actually revive vehicles, and I suppose it would do that for the spacecraft as well. Although I'm not really sure how that would that I think that would supersede its actual power and toughness as long as it wasn't already a creature, which non-creature artifact would dictate that. But like if I turned Infinite Guideline Station into a I know I can't. It's not the right colors, but just as an example, it's the first thing that's on my screen here. If I turn that into a creature, it would just be a 5/5 instead of a 7/15, or vice versa. The Wedgelight would be a 4/4. The Sarima would be a 3/3. I'd prefer it to be a 5/5. Oddly enough, you can't use creatures to station themselves, which again, a solid view, because it seems like, for the most part, individual design seems to be going very well. Um, for standard, it seems to suffer, and there's a few things to blame for that. Um, the biggest problem that I think standard faces in general is the fact that there's just so much content that they're pushing out, which I'm not bashing directly the amount of content that Wizards is pushing out. But for playtesting and for balancing, it seems like the more content that gets pushed, the higher chance there is that we're going to run into stuff like VV Cauldron in Standard, because there's Cauldron was already a semi-popular card in Standard. I don't know why that wasn't viewed in a more serious light. Um, my assumption is they saw it, they tested it, but they didn't. I feel like they didn't like go into it as hard as they could have with what you could really do with that combo. Because like honestly, one maybe two copies of Vivi that are spare, eh, it's not that bad. But once you start slapping in stuff, especially from like foundations, where you run into, I'd have to go look at the the card list for that. Um, but foundations was really interesting, especially for honestly, if you could get to 6 mana, if you could get Rite of the Dragon Color, I know that wasn't big in Standard, mostly because it's 6 mana. But like if you could get that and one or two VVs on the board with a Cauldron, that's just obscene. But then you've got you know Kranko, which again, 2 red pips, not really a threat in Standard. But if that's the way you wanted to go with it, you could. But they really did not. I feel like they could have extended their reach a little bit more into that. But going back into Galvanic Genius, would you want to see like a deck tech on that? I mean, I gotta work on this a little bit more. I've gotten distracted. Um, but is that something you'd want to see either at some point or as soon as I'm done with this? Because I know that you've been I know that's been on your mind quite a bit. Hoping the stream's coming through. It's complaining about encoding overload every time I talk. Is the stream coming through fine? I know that you guys are probably a little bit behind where those messages are coming through, but eh, I'll wait for it to pop up. I'm gonna keep working on this. Um, yeah, I could complain all day about what's going wrong. Seems good to me. Good, glad to hear it. What's going wrong with the product releases because everybody's got their opinion, and honestly, for the most part, I don't see any. I haven't seen any massive like complaints that don't seem in one way or another valid. Um, a big piece of it is you've got there's a subset of the community that doesn't like Universes Beyond at all. You've got a subset of the community that is really all for it, and then you've got people. Honestly, I'm somewhere in between, where I think Universes Beyond has potential, but it's not entirely being I don't view the implementation of Universes Beyond as I don't think the way they're doing it is the right way to do it, if that makes sense. Now, mind you, Hasbro, on the other hand, probably thinks the way they're doing it is great because they're making like billions of they made like $1 billion off of Final Fantasy. Like it's absurd the amount of money the Final Fantasy made. Which I get it. Money is good, um, and seeing as it doesn't directly mess with I don't want to say doesn't mess with the core gameplay because they made it standard legal and now it has core gameplay implications. Like I'm going to run into Final Fantasy for the next 3 years. Like if I fully intend to pick up standard when Lorwyn comes out. I'm actually very excited for it. My intent is actually to try to get a functioning Jund style deck on, but that purely depends on whether or not Jund is um, supported. Is the best way to put it. Right now, it seems, as far as I know, I might be wrong, but it seems for the most part that red green uh, seems to be the vibe in standard. Um, which I know is going to get way worse when Marvel comes out. Which I'd be more than happy to talk about those spoilers probably on if I can get the stream running up again. I intend to stream on Tuesday nights as well. That could definitely be the topic of Tuesday night stream is just what's going on with the Marvel stuff because I assure you I have opinions. For the most part, they're good. I actually judging from what I've seen so far, which I've scrolled through them, I haven't put critical thought into 95% of it because it's like 6 months away, or at least I'd like to tell myself it's 6 months away. There's two universes within sets between now and then, so I'm not as massively worried about the universes beyond stuff as much in regards to spoiler season because spoiler season for trying to find out how many islands. I feel like I miscounted. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm on 4. Um, I feel like the eternal spoiler season. Tuesday night stew and brew. No, I'm not doing stew and brew. That being said, I actually did have pasta, and there's some chili in the fridge. Chili, on the other hand, is not. Chili is a stew, it is not a soup. The ratio of fluid to to stuff, I guess, would be um, lower. Well, the fluid, yeah, fluid to stuff. Stew has a lower ratio of fluid. Soups have a higher fluid ratio. That's a whole argument for another time. Um, Come back next week when we discuss soup physics. I guess I'm not doing that. IRL food tokens. What do they do? Do they actually give me life points, or do they just stop me from losing some in the future? Get behind that. It's madness. Everything here is madness. Forest bear. Why is it forest? Hold on. What was that? Why is that forest bear so expensive? What was that? Oh, it's the original. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. What kills me? Yeah, the original Portal 3 one. What kills me? I actually have this one. I have the like the border the wordless. Not that it had words, but text boxless. Um, Forest Bear. I gotta get rid of this. But it's like it's 67 cents. What is that nonsense? It's just it's sad. It makes me sad. I actually bought a box. I finally got a hold of a box of Mystery Booster 2. Um, I sorted it and then I did nothing with it. I haven't gone in. I haven't looked at most of the cards that I pulled. I think the best thing that I got was a foil counterspell from the set. It's really pretty. It's like $40 or $50 as well, which just throws me for a loop because it's just a basic counterspell. But I know the foils from that set are just obscene to get. I won't lie, I did buy the box with the hopes of pulling uh the foil Urza with the I can't remember the border style right now. I'm blanking on what it's called. But the actual the Urza, everybody knows the Mystery Booster 2 Urza, and if you don't, I'll pull it up. Why not? Oh yeah, Mystery Booster 2. This thing with the what is that border style called? I am lost. I cannot remember what that border style is called. I'm gonna have to get rid of that. I'm gonna see if I can erase chat because I know I've been talking about it for a while. I know it's a set. I know the whole thing. It's from a set that was incredibly popular. Future Sight. It was Future Sight. It hasn't hit the chat yet if somebody said it, but looking at all the chat symbols, it's the Future Sight border. I think. By all means, tell me if I'm wrong. Um, yeah, as and with this spaceship deck, I am also filled with slightly. I am correct. You're right. um, I am filled with both hope and trepidation for the the Star Trek set that's coming at the end of the year because first of all, why? Um, I have a theory why, and it was actually it was nailed home to me because my headset died. I hope that having it plugged in doesn't add too much static to the line. That is hilarious. I'm streaming, so it didn't give me the dying battery sounds, which I don't really know how to fix. I think I'll just have to have the headset plugged in uh, on Tuesdays and Sundays when I go to work, so I don't have that issue again. Because again, professional, absolute professional here. Um, we'll get better at it. We'll get better at it. Thank God I'm a chatterbox. Because I can talk to a wall till I'm blue in the face, and I have been blue in the face before. For those of you who know me in real life, which there's a couple of you in chat, if not all of you, um, yeah, I've got I can chat for a while about seemingly nothing, which I'm doing a great job here so far. I feel like I'm doing a good job because if I have to ramble, um, I'll do it. You know what I should do? Because I know I've got 3 concurrent viewers, which I can only assume are gonna be probably Chase Coffee and 6871 here. Um, I'm going to add another planes to this pile, or no? No, not yet. Um, I could probably just shoot myself a TikTok ad real quick, post that up, and then just continue with the stream here. See if I can get some extra viewership. Although I don't know. I feel like advertising for a YouTube stream on TikTok seems not dishonest. I don't think that's it. I mean, what's the harm really? Eh. Hey, I picked up 2 extra subscribers today. Go me. Hey. You know what's insane? I posted a TikTok, and I'm going to ramble about this for a second. I posted a TikTok with actually my mono-colored commanders with a little like description of what they do, because it seems to be popular amongst the Magic community. I'm trying to. I don't want to say I'm trying to be a shill, but I'm trying to grow the channel in any way possible that's legal and doesn't make me feel, you know, bad. Um, but it's oh hey, apparently my about me is approved. Thanks. Um, no, the thing that kills me is I had more people actually save that post than I had people comment on the post or subscribe from the post. Which means I made a good post, but not. I mean, it's the first post, so once I post more, I should probably get more followers from. No, I'm not. No, no Raid Shadow Legends. Actually, let me rephrase. Raid Shadow Legends. If you'd like to sponsor me, I will absolutely be more than happy to talk about Raid Shadow Legends. I have never played, but I'd be more than happy to pick that up. Yeah. Huh, that's cool. I'm down with that. I think I downloaded it once and did like the demo and that's it. Like I think what happened is my phone broke. Not because of Raid Shadow Legends, let me again be clear about that. I think I dropped it like the same week that I downloaded that game, so I don't think I got any further than like the demo. It was rough. It was a bad month. Not total shill. I just know that actually I assume from the amount of advertisement I see from them from various people that they actually they seem to treat their people well. Their animations are also like super sick. Like they do a really good job on their 3D animation for the ads. Yeah, I got 2 followers today. Look at that. Do do do. Quite proud of my first post. What did I get here? I don't even know. Oh my gosh! I managed to pull. I doubled my like count for my account's entire existence in less than 12 hours. Now, mind you, I had 30 likes over 4 years. I didn't. I posted back in. Uh, let's say I posted in 2020, and that's all there needs to be said about that. Um, I am definitely not the same person I was, which thank you. So glad. Um, yeah, I got to keep working on this. I'm gonna shoot this little do. Gonna make a quick little. Not my face. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Don't want to do that. Don't do that. No. I'm gonna discard that. Thanks. I almost made some kind of video on. Nope. Nope. No sound, please. I feel like this is just gonna get like deleted immediately. If I get anybody that chums in, I get some people to come in. That's really all I care about. There we go. Sick. Nope, don't need a catchy title. Don't need any of that. Just gonna post it. There we go. Alright, boom. That's a dumb question. Do you think... I don't know if I have the YouTube in my bio. No, I don't. Great. Cancel. Yeah, people can find it or they can't. I had a viewer for like a second there. I saw a fourth viewer. I don't know who it was though, and they didn't comment. So, eh, if anybody joins, they join. If not, they don't. Fine by me. I've got you guys for now. I never edited planes, did I? You know what? If I'm short a card by the time I get back to the end of this pile, I will know to add a planes. That's what we're on. 2 planes. But yeah, this deck actually came around because for the most part, whenever I buy a box of whatever the new set is, I try to build a commander deck because what I do is I buy the booster box, which is now what are they called now? They used to be set boosters, now they're play boosters, right? Yeah, yeah. So I buy the play booster box, which they're not gonna have box toppers anymore. Not happy about that. Um, so I usually buy that. I buy the what they used to call a fat pack, now they call it a bundle. Comes with the 8 packs and the die. Mostly so I can get the dice, because I am an absolute goblin. I love my multicolored D20. I have one sitting back here. It's actually the Age of Eternity's die. It's this one. I think it's really pretty. It's got the nice like sparkle to it. I don't know if you can see it very well, because I know my light source is actually like mildly blocked here, but that's fine. We'll work on getting like a ring light or something at another time. Probably once I hit uh, 50 subscribers on TikTok, I'll end up grabbing myself a ring light, because I want to stream. I actually want to do like deck building at the desk back here. So if I can get a light and get a mount, I think that would be a lot of fun. Because you can't really see it because my head's in the way. But behind all of the decks, there's actually like another, I'd say 15 to 25-ish decks in process. And I've already got too many in paper as it is. But I don't have a problem. I promise. No addiction here. But there's so much to do. Like with Commander, you have so many options. There's a lot of fun to be had. Um, which I gotta check in to I gotta check a friend of mine, see what days, like see what night he has off of work. Because I know he told me he was just now like he wants to get into Magic, and he knows that Commander is a popular format. So he I started talking to him about it, and I got obviously I got excited because Commander's easily my favorite thing, which I started technically with Modern. Why am I editing Swamp? I've already got a Swamp. And by technically started with Modern, I mean that in the gentlest of senses. My science teacher in 10th grade sold me and a couple buddies like these $5 junk decks. Um, which actually that deck still very much remains in my heart. Uh, just a goofy little Selesnya +1/+1. It had I think it had 2 Arashan Sovereigns. I think is the card. It's a dragon that when you put a +1/+1 on another creature, you can put a +1/+1 on a Russian sovereign. But the verbiage, because of the way they have this card, is actually what it says now instead of its own name, because that'd be really weird. Um, you can actually just make as many +1/+1s as you want, because you put one over there and that triggers, and you put one over there and that triggers, and you just have to start it with something. So it's actually it was a lot of shenanigans. It was basically just the simplest version of a +1/+1 deck you could make. It had like 3 or 4 copies of incremental growth, which that card is actually, I built a Sovereign Akhenaten, I think is its name, and that was the cat that it cares about the base power and toughness versus the actual power and toughness. Um, but I actually that was one of the first cards that I put into the deck because it just holds a very deep-seated spot in my play pattern and in my heart for just that deck in general was actually a lot of fun for me, and it's more or less formed part of who I am as a Magic player. Because there's nothing wrong with making a massive creature and just beating somebody over the head with it. I'm all for combo play, but nothing beats a 30-30 with trample. But yeah, I see I got somebody new to the chat. Hello, welcome to the stream. If you have any questions or if you have any just in general questions or questions about the deck or you want to talk about actually if you want to talk about anything, drop it in the chat. I got nothing let's see what we got cuz I got I'm just logging this deck. So, I'd love to talk about just about anything Magic related. So, about 99% of the way. Not 99, about 95. Yeah, 80. About 80% of the way through the deck. Let me get rid of that ad. So, yeah, I'm done with this one. Next one I log, because I'm almost done with this. What do we want to see? I've got my weird raccoon deck. I've got the upgraded Mardu Precon from the last Tarkir set. And I've got, again, an upgraded Gonti Canny Inquisitor deck. Basically, you play your deck, I play your deck, everybody plays your deck. We all go home unhappy. Because there's nothing like compromise. So if you want to see either of those, or honestly, I got a whole toolbox over there with another like 20 decks in it. I gotta make a list of all the commanders that I've got. So that I can do a little voting thing if necessary. That is terrible spelling. Glad it got there in the end. And besides, what are you guys up to? Doing anything fun in your spare time? Making any decks? Any plans magic-wise in the near future? Like I said, I'm gonna end up at Magfest over in DC, about what 10 minutes south of National Mall. I forget the area that is. National Harbor. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be there. Probably shilling for the channel. Not gonna lie. I actually had a thought to actually get like a shirt made for like back and front with the channel name. Thought that'd be a lot of fun. Honk. Alright, I know the card's not legal, but I gotta see what it is. Destroy target art. Okay, for 1 mana, I feel like that's a little much. I could see that with like a 3 or. I could see that as a 2 or a 3 mana instant. That'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, that is illegal and it can't be in the deck. Let's try that again. There we go. Nanoform Sentinel, there it is. Ah, I just had a thought. Um, the lore for Edge of Eternities, man, it started a lot more problems than I think it meant to. Which, if anybody's caught up on the Lorwyn lore, the lore, the lore of Lorwyn, don't spoil anything. I know I'm a couple chapters behind. I actually have yet to check it out. I listened to the first one, and since then I haven't had a chance to actually listen to that. I'm most likely going to do that tomorrow after I wake up, so I have something to talk about, or maybe I'll do that Tuesday, so I have something to chat about, because so far it seems like more. I'm confused. I'm not confused. I understand that um, the omen paths are more of a literary device than anything right now, and I cannot wait for the end of the Omen Path saga. Oh my god, I am so tired of these doors. I'm tired of listening to certain planeswalkers cry that they don't have sparks. I need Nissa to get her spark back, or I need her to accept her fate. Because I know her girlfriend still has her spark, Chandra, but I'm just so they need to figure out how to get her back to Zendikar and to give her back her heart, because I am just very tired. 98. Oh, well that's going to be easy. One swamp and one plains. I knew I typed one in. That was wrong. There you go. Super simple deck. No Soul Ring, no Signet, just a big pile of spaceships and a couple guys that may or may not know how to drive them. That's really all this deck is. I'm not I'm not looking for anything magical with it. It is though a magic deck. So did we have a vote on whether or not we wanted to see the raccoons or a bunch of little dudes running around, or maybe somebody stealing some stuff? Or am I? We're gonna see. I got that Miracle deck that I still haven't played. I do have a crab deck that makes everybody fight each other. That's pretty entertaining. I haven't played that one in person yet, so I'm actually looking forward to. I've got so many decks that I actually need to. I'm gonna take to Magfest just so I can actually get to play them in physical paper. So, or did we want to see the? Or are we doing a deck tech for Sidri? I gotta kill the. I gotta kill the delay for the chat because it's like a minute. I've mentally moved on to another topic by the time it finally rolls around. So we'll figure that out later. Um, but again, 4 viewers. Hello, 4 viewers. Um, God, she was what? Commander 2016, right? Well, yeah, wasn't she like in the Brea deck or something? Sidri? I don't quite remember. I've got a bunch of big on. Yeah, cause this, yeah, that's that deck. Just trying to find a copy of the deck. Except there are no. Well, this website doesn't have any. Doesn't have a deck list for it. It's just got a pile of every card that was printed in the set, which is great if you own all of the decks, which I do not. I actually ended up. I missed a few of these, which is sad. I finally actually bought myself a copy of Timna the Weaver. so I look forward to building something with that. The problem is I don't want to build Blue Farm because I find CDH to be more or less not my style. Um, Nothing against it. If that's the way you want to play Commander, that's the way you want to play Commander. I saw somebody. I wish I was kidding. The fact that this is actually more commonplace than not in regards to what CEDH can do. I watched a guy play a uh, a Crick deck, Sunny Yawgmoth, and he was third in turn rotation. Player number 4 did not get a turn. It was just the worst. I just can't. I don't want to say I can't get down with it because again, that's your bag. That's your bag. I the highest I play is uh, what's now considered what tier 4, level 4. I can't remember the name of it. But whatever the 4 is, that's the highest I play, and I have maybe one or two decks that can do that consistently. I have a lot of threes, a lot of twos. I have intentionally designed some decks as ones, like this one. It why is it considered a two? Estimate could be two, but it could be one if that's your intent. Yeah, dude, it's supposed to be a one. No, I don't want to set the chord at two. Thanks. Um, because that's really all this is. It's just boats. So let's start a new deck. What are we doing? Or actually, if we want to talk about any of these as well, I have an Ulamog deck, Maha, Temet. I got birds. I got elves. I got this goofy little budget deck that somebody challenged me to build, which actually was way more fun than it had any right to be. You like treasure? We got treasure. Nobody likes treasure. I like it. Um, I'm glad I don't have that old. I had a Corval deck that was just miserable to play against. Truly, truly miserable to play against. Um, it wasn't fast enough for CEDH, but it was not slow enough to sit at a casual table. It was one of those. I miss it, but at the same time, unless upon specific request, I don't think I can go back to it. Just because of how aggressively boring the play loop was, if that makes sense. I gotta trying to lean over to grab a deck because I remembered what deck I need to put in. If I can reach it without falling out of my chair, would be great. Well, that's not it. I think this deck is pretty close to the homage of the +1/+1 counter deck. Where oh where I built probably one of my most convoluted and entertaining decks that I have ever built, and I'm very proud of it. I have a Baitor Ancestor's Voice deck. That's my Hearth Hull. I can't remember what sleeves I put the deck in. Oh yeah, I do have the Ketramos. I have a Ketramos deck as well. Um, well, I just took it out of its deck, and now I can't get it back in. Whoopsie daisies, everybody. Technical difficulties. We will be... I'll lean back over in just a second. I'm terribly sorry. I gotta get him back into his deck box. Yeah, there we go. I've got I don't know if you can see it very well. I have the golden box topper version of Ketramos. I was actually fortunate enough to pull it. Mostly because I would not buy that on purpose. Not to say it was bad, but the prices when I was buying those were just... I still think Aether Drift was a lot of fun, but the prices for the gold cards were a little obscene. I found a different deck to do. One I'm actually interested in talking about. Um, because it bends the rules of Magic a little bit, and I'm a big fan of that. Um, I have an Oscar Rubbish Reclaimer. Um, I actually got to play this one in person a little while ago, probably about a month or two ago. But this card is actually a lot of fun. Um, it came out of the Obscura precon from New Capenna, which if you played during that time, New Capenna actually spat out some really fantastic cards. Probably one of my favorite sets of all time that I've played in Magic. Uh, the aesthetic was fantastic. The character introductions, the lore behind the set, it they did a really good job. And the Commander decks had some of the most powerful stuff that has come out of just Commander precons in a really long time. Or at least at that point, that's when I started. I really think that the precons started getting a lot more advanced. Maybe a little bit before New Capenna, but they've done quite well since then. For the most part, I haven't had any like massively disappointing precons. I think the most disappointing, honestly, the most disappointing precon for one reason or another that they've put out recently, I'd say in the last 2 years. There might be one more disappointing that I can't remember, which would prove my point even more actually. But the most disappointing one that I can think of is the Jeskai precon from Tarkir Dragonstorm. I thought that deck, it was everything Jeskai does, but there was nothing new explored. It was just Jeskai. It was only, what's the phrase? It was only Monica. It was only Monica, and it was just plain boring. Honestly, it was. Which, more power to them. If that's how we're doing things. I know Jeskai is really hard to build because I've never been a fan. The only Jeskai deck I've ever built and kept a hold of was actually my what is his name? Uh, it was one of the Commander Chase cards from the Dinosaurs set recently. Lost Caverns of Ixalan. It was the Golden Gear guy. I gotta find the card. I know where to find it. I'll bring him up in a second once I actually find what the heck the copy was. That set actually brought on the what the heck, Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park cards were actually great. I have that's the kind of Universes Beyond stuff that I'm never gonna complain about. Like back when Brothers War came out and they did the Transformers stuff, that was just enough to not be annoying. Like I appreciated that. I gotta move this a little bit without revealing my. There we go. Got the old man in there now. Once the fan turns off, that's gonna, or the air turns off, that's gonna change. Um, but that's the kind of Universes Beyond stuff that you're not gonna catch me complaining about. It's tasteful yet classy. Um, they didn't overdo it. They didn't make it a full set. They made it its own pullable slot. They and they didn't like jack the they didn't jack the rates for them down either. Like I pulled enough of them. The Jeskai commander I'm talking about, by the way, finally found it, is Tetsun, Gnome Champion, which I will put him up as well. Eventually, I know he's not allowed in this deck, but I still want to show it off because this card's a lot of fun. The whole deck's just double-faced pile of not even the greatest artifacts. A lot of them, like the like us not Azcanta, but the Great Door or whatever it's called. What a terrible, terrible card with terrible drawbacks, but a fantastic backside that you can entirely skip with Tetsun. Um, just a lot of fun with that. But every time one enters the battlefield, this set actually came like 2 or 3 sets after a rules change that made this card way more powerful than I think was intended. But double-faced artifacts. Whenever they enter the battlefield, you mill 3 cards and put an artifact card from amongst those in your hand. It's simple enough. The craft, which by the way, craft, another fantastic feature that I really wish they had put more into the set. That is a gripe I have, is whenever they do a new feature, it seems like they're afraid to like go full in on it, and it's kind of sad because like craft is great. Um, top speed or whatever it is, I think it's top speed. From Aether Drift. The reason I didn't like it wasn't because it was bad, but it was not supported in its own set, you know. So hopefully they'll do some more with that. They probably won't. There was a lot of complaints about Aether Drift, but with any luck, we'll have some fun with that. Excuse me, mouth's getting a little dry. But the other side, Vigilance and Trample 6/6. When it swings or enters the battlefield, because it actually exiles and then re-enters, um, you can flip one of the other double-faced artifacts for free. So what I ended up doing, because of the rule change, was the incubator tokens that came with March of the Machines. They actually changed the rules for the incubator tokens, so if you made copies of them, that they would still be double-faced as well, which means the original tokens are double-faced. And if I'm not insane, yeah, it doesn't say anything about being like non-token. So the Elish Norn, that's just called Elish Norn with the saga on the back end of it, does some really cool stuff. When you flip her, I think she makes 5 of the incubator tokens with 2+1+1s on it, which is fine. They're not like great in any massive capacity, but that does let me mill 15 cards and that's 5 cards that I can draw for I think 4 mana. Sure, it's public knowledge draw, but who cares? Anyways, let me get back to this one because again, this deck's a lot of fun. Um, so I've got an Archfiend Ifnir to run a little bit of control. It's also not not a terrible card. I liked the original set that this came out of, which was Amonkhet. Back when I was a newer-ish player, Amonkhet was had come out because I started playing in mid early 2015. So this was like 3 years into my tenure as a Magic player. Nope, that's not the right card. That's not the right card. I hit the wrong button. Still hitting the wrong cards. There we go. Way cheaper. Anywho, the set was brand new, and I just thought this card was just the meanest thing ever. Which, looking back, I was right. Archfiend of Ifnir is actually quite mean. But the fun part is now I have less guilt about playing it, which, might make me a bad person, but also, meh. I it's one card of 100. I have a way to look it up. Like, I literally put Demonic Console in here as a search card for Delirium, but if not, I can go get the Archfiend of Ifnir. Like, that's exactly what it's there for. I'm not gonna lie. Um, but there's so much discard enabling in this deck. It is here to feed Oscar. Let me count the amount of lands I've got in here, so I don't have to. At least islands and swamps. 2 swamps, 3 islands, 3 swamps. There's a Kozilek. Don't mind that. 4 swamps, 4 islands. 5 and 5, 6 and 5, 6 and 6. 8 and 6, 8 and 7. 9 and 7. 9 and 8. Totally professional. 9 and 9. Definitely know what I'm doing. Just 9 of each. That works great. There we go. Boop. So there we go. That's taken care of. Now I don't have to worry about the basics anymore. The idea of this deck, genuinely, is to get Oscar out just about as quick as possible. To really cannot believe they're doing the teenage. Don't even start me the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles things. Woohoo! New York City again. It wasn't the 30K. Strixhaven, Mystical Archive. It was number 26. I've got this one, the little golden trim on it. Hide the ad for alcohol. So yeah, the whole deal with this deck is to just spit itself into the graveyard. I've got a Rotting Regisaur somewhere in here. Currency Converter, which apparently is now $10, came in the same precon as Oscar. But you have a way to turn the like if you're not gonna cast the card, you might as well turn it into a treasure or something. There's a lot of options about like stuff to do with the stuff that you're discarding. Like Rotting Register is in the deck for an upkeep trigger, so I can actually cast creatures or artifacts or whatever before my main phase. There's no real purpose to it. But it just fills the graveyard with more stuff for later. Um, The more I play, the more I'm trying to do a deck of every major um every major style. That way when I talk about it, I want to be able to talk about certain things from experience, not just from, oh, this is what I heard. Like I now have this deck, so I can talk about a discard deck from more of a I've been there, I've done that kind of deal. Emmett Selk is great in this deck. Um, if you can get Emmett Selk and Oscar out at the same time, the CMC of this deck, I think the highest one aside from the Kozilek, is probably somewhere around 5. There's a bunch of spell cost reducers in here. Um, I wouldn't be I wouldn't be uncomfortable sitting at a high power table with this deck because I know that it can do stuff. It's a little slower because it's Dimir, and Dimir suffers from lasting. Oh my god, that's an $18 card. It suffers seemingly from lasting ability to actually get and hold on to mana outside of rocks. Because it has like one or two different ways to ramp and actually keep itself ramping. It's not close to green, and that's really the downfall of it. That's why Sultai is so great. It's everything you could possibly ask for in control, but with the mana abilities of green. Like you get the card draw of Simic to keep it moving. It's a very powerful color combo. Um, and it has some of the most ridiculous um, commanders. Muldrotha being the top one that comes to mind. I tried to build a Muldrotha deck. Um, is it because it might be because there's no audio stream? So let me actually jump into a Discord chat so I don't just lose my. Because I think it's my headset's actually shutting off, so I'm actually gonna jump into a chat so it doesn't do that anymore. There we go. Um, what was I on about? I don't even remember. Um, oh, right. I tried to build a Muldrotha deck. It was terrible. It was genuinely just not a great performance. This was early on in my commander career, as it were. I was still trying to figure out how to actually build commander decks. I had a very small collection at the time, so that wasn't helping either. Um, at this point, I could probably go back and build one that's serviceable, if not fantastic. But I think that honestly, I feel like Muldroth is kind of overdone at this point. She's been more or less solved. There's not a lot of new life coming out of it in that regard, because it's just check out this graveyard. Please don't Bajuka bog me. Like there's not. I'm not. I can't say I'm not impressed. I've seen some very impressive Muldrotha decks, and I think that's why I'm not interested in building it. It's because I know what it can do, and I'm not gonna do that. So I've more interesting got more interesting stuff to do as it goes with deck building. But that's something. Come back wrong. What a fantastic kill spell. One of the only um one of the only ways to actually steal somebody's commander and keep it because of the verbiage of the card. Its whole thing is actually it locks the there's no change of game state while the card is on the stack, like um while it's resolving. So there's no way to actually change the zone that your commander's in because it goes straight from graveyard to board without actually um, giving your opponent the chance to gain priority. So it's nice that they're designing, whether or not it's intentional or not. It's nice that they're actually designing some more stuff to deal with certain certain problems, as it were. Yeah. Ooh, a whopping $6. And this deck is actually it's a great place to put the old Battle for Zendikar and Oath of the Gatewatch devoid spells because they care about discard, exile, and I tried to put I try to put as much interesting stuff as I can into my decks at this point. Because while I'm not entirely past the phase of I gotta build the best thing ever, I I'm on my way by it. I'm getting a little less intense, I'll say. I try to tone it down, try to make more creative things, mostly for my own entertainment at this point. I work a lot and I go to school a little bit as well on my days off, so I don't get to really take the time to, you know, visit anybody or do anything in regards to Magic, because that's an all-day thing for me. and I can't do all day things when I have, I don't want to say adult responsibilities, but stuff that is very inconvenient at best timing wise. I know it'll help me later down the line, so I'm not going to complain. But it's more or less the same now. Ghostly Pilferer is in the deck to basically get me a free discard again during at any point. Actually, it's really fun. The activated ability is discard a card. So if I want to cast literally anything, if I've got the mana for it, I can use Ghostly Pilferer as a filter to beat um, a lot of timing restrictions. So you can rip off a black market with it if somebody's trying to board wipe. Comes in handy actually a lot more than it should. Why does that not have a price? Interesting. It snowed last night. Um, so I've had the Styx song "Snowblind" stuck in my head all day. And while yes, I am very aware that it is not actually about snow, um, it's all I can think of. It's getting towards Christmas time, and my brain's already kind of holly jolly Christmased out, musically speaking. So apparently I've been looking for other ways to keep the music going in my head, and that's the route it took. Who am I to complain? It's a good song. Took me forever to find it this morning, because I forgot it was Styx that sings it, and another band sings, performs a song called Snowblind as well. Whoops, there goes that. Um, can't remember who it is. It's not Metallica. The fans of the band, whoever they are, will probably be grumpy at me for using um, Metallica as a comparison to them, but I can't think of the actual band at the moment. Black Sabbath. Yeah, everybody's mad. I'm mad. Yeah, it's Black Sabbath that does a song called Snowblind, I believe, as well. Which again, chat, correct me if I'm wrong. Um, but I don't think I am. Where'd my forbid go? There it is. I actually have the Amonkhet Invocation. This was a solid pickup for me, actually. And it just it fits perfectly in the deck. Um, not only can I, dunk on somebody's spell, but I can also add something to the stack on top of it. with Oscar, because the buyback is discard 2 cards, so it's another one of those fun ways to mess with timing. I'm working on a deck that, speaking of weird things to do with commander decks, I am attempting, failing miserably because anyone that knows what banding is um, will automatically tell me that this is what I'm doing is probably a terrible idea. Um, but I'm trying to build a banding commander deck in my spare time. Banding, for those of you who don't know, um, probably one of the most intricate and necessarily rules text filled um, vanilla, or not vanilla, but evergreen keywords. It is just massively, massively complicated. Do you want to block? Maybe. Am I attacking with this creature? Kind of. Am I assigning combat damage to either of the creatures that are currently banded together? The rules say I probably have to. It's a very weird keyword. I'm hoping to really teach myself how to use it, because I want to um, bring back older features of the game so people can learn about them. Because there's only, like, I really don't think certain things see the light of day anymore, even in eternal formats, um, aside from Commander. Because there's no real, like, space. Like, banding. It really, I don't want to say it doesn't have a point. But it's one of those keywords that just, we could, we could go on without it. And I think Magic would generally be probably less complicated, honestly. I feel like there's a lot of rules text that we could just not deal with, which is amusing, honestly. But this is coming from a guy who built a mono blue horsemanship deck. Um, so I don't know. I don't know how popular some of my builds have been thus far. It's been questionable at best. Um, well, that's not surprising. Yeah, I can delete that. There we go. It's gone. Can't remember why I put this in here. Arm-mounted anchor. Hmm. I mean, having a creature with menace and probably some version of unblockable, whether it be flying or shroud, not shroud, but shulk or something, will probably is probably the reason I put that in there. Ghostly Pilferer, or just the Rogue's Passage that I just put in. It's all coming together. All-Seeing Arbiter, another one of those new Capenna cards that I feel like got looked over. Mostly because it's a flying 5/4 for 6. But the second ability of it really comes in handy on attacks. Just give something minus X, minus O. And the longer the game goes on, the better it gets. So I really, while I understand why it was left out of the popularity, um, doesn't mean I'm any more or less happy about it. It is just it is disappointing. Again, Amonkhet, great card. Cycled and discard cards like return to your end and return. Yeah, return to your hand all cards in your graveyard that you cycled or discarded this turn. Which I guess cycling is discarding, but I know why they had to specify. So I didn't think about that when I was making this deck, actually. I know there's a couple cards in the deck with cycling. That was mostly accidental, I think. Just by the time I remember why I did it, it'll totally be on purpose. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Um, yeah, no, that's really Dreaming Acolyte. Yeah, the deck also has a sub theme of, oddly enough, this is it's a discard deck that punches you in the head. I'm a big fan of making sure I don't get punched in the head, metaphorically speaking, during the game. I had a couple decks, and even the higher power Ulamog deck that I run only has like 24, maybe 25 creatures. It's very creature light in that regard. So um, there is a fun thing that the deck does where I just get run over. I played against a goblin player. What a disaster that was for me. It was a lot of fun, but just watching the pile of goblins slowly approach my board was less than entertaining, I will say. And this deck is actually the first place that I have found to put a Diamond Lion that I'm actually proud to have a Diamond Lion in the deck. It's actually a lot of fun. I'll foil this. Um, watch the price go down. Please tell me the price goes down. No, it's not much better though. Whoops, didn't mean to click out of that. But it's just Diamond Eye without haste. And this is one of those ones that you really shouldn't let it live on the board. Because if you do, something usually goes wrong. I've had some pretty good success with the card. Um, Rotate around here, try not to choke myself with my headphone cable. But yeah, chat's kind of gone quiet. I'm running out of smack to talk here. Mm. And honestly, my mouth is getting a little dry. Probably not helping with what I'm drinking, but I know better. There's water. Just haven't really been drinking it. I gotta find that Beator deck. Is it? No, it's still the Hearthhall deck. Nope. Oh yeah, my Misanthropic Guide deck is a lot of fun for me and only me. What was that? Oh, my Bright Palms deck. That's so much fun. Again, I suppose it's a me and only me thing. Put this over here. Alright, I'm gonna put this one in and talk about it while I do. And then probably head out for the night. Just gonna... That works. Ta-da! So I saw this card and there we go, drop down a little bit. I saw this card and I immediately fell in love. Maybe, what, a couple weeks before this card got spoiled, I was talking, keep trying to close the ad. Yeah, sorry, hold on. That's my bad. I was talking to, I can't even remember who I was talking to. I think I was talking to you, Chase. About how I just detested everything Abzan as a commander because it was all like one of two themes, and it all just kind of drug out from there. It was either, oh cool, look at all this life I can gain, with nothing really to do with it other than use it as a varied weapon, or check out the saprolings. And I'm eventually going to build a saproling deck, but it's gonna end up being like a four-color nonsense thing, I think, is where I'm gonna end up putting it. Um, but this deck I'm quite proud of because I dug through basically the entire history of Magic. Mythic Spoiler came in massively handy. I'm both for and against net decking. I find net decking is helpful, but you can go too far when net decking if you just grab all of the synergistic cards, which just makes your deck the same as every other person. And I think that's genuinely boring. Um, but that's not really, I guess that's not really my purview, to call someone's deck boring, as I've made some just boring decks. I took a deck apart one time just because I didn't enjoy playing it because it was so simple. It was a simple black and white humans deck, um, that was run by the mythic from Ikoria. I think it's like General Kudro or something. Um, can't remember. Which, sorry, I keep clicking out of that. I know OBS is probably giving me a hard time. I see it glitch out every time I click a new window. Um, Go all the way down to Ikoria. Oh my god, that was like, what, 21? 2020. Yeah, that was... Yeesh. Yeah, General Kudro of Dranith. One in a white black. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna click it. Oh, it's that thing. Yeah. But yeah, General Kudro. This card's really interesting. I don't know about interesting. It's cohesive. Um, just a generalized human anthem that lets you blow stuff up at massive detriment to your army if you don't do token generation with that guy. It's just bad news for your existence. But if that's the way you want to do it, that's the way you want to do it. But like I was saying, this deck has the most diverse mana base I think I've ever put together. Um, I went so far as to go into God, when let me see if I have one in my hands, see if I can recognize the set. Tempest. I actually went back and found Tempest dual lands, which if you're old enough to remember, or if you've done as much digging as I have, the Tempest dual lands are god awful. Just just terrible. Um, I love them. I think that they're great for what this deck is supposed to do. In general, though, they're terrible. They're not that great. Um, at best, they could be labeled as not great. Once I actually pull one up. No, I didn't need 4 silent clearings. I need 4 forests, please. Thank you. I think my mana base by itself can lose me, I think, upwards of 12 life? If I get them all out? Because Brushland here, which is the deals the damage to you for a green or a white, or it'll tap for a colorless normally. I've got all three. I've got all three of that set. I've got 2 of the 3 of the Tempest lands because they kind of finish. That's really confusing why it's doing that. I know I don't have any audio, which is honestly probably why. But still. Um, what was I talking about? Oh, right. Yeah, the Tempest lands aren't a full set. There is one that sits outside the, and here's Pine Barrens. There's one that sits outside what these do. It enters tapped, and it's just a pain land. That is in every way worse. It adds colorless mana, and it deals damage to me for colors. That's Here it is. It's Lunawar Waste, but it enters tapped. It's like I don't know. I couldn't tell you what what the purpose of it is anymore. Mostly to go into goofy Btor decks, Bator decks. I don't really know. how to. It's whatever I say it is. Um, but yeah, it's okay. They're pretty boring. This deck contains an ancient tomb. Um, that's self-explanatory. The whole idea of the deck, though, is to, in fact, tear my life points apart, um, in service of reviving various things that have no right to be revived. One of which, hilariously enough, being a an Ulamog, the infinite or the Defiler. If I can lose 10 life in a turn, um, it gets really ugly. So I try to. I mean, honestly, if I pick the card up, I'm absolutely trying to win with it. With a commander that not only gives the Ulamog lifelink, but more importantly, makes it so the Annihilator constantly goes up as it feeds. So, no, no, not that one. Oh, excuse me. Gonna be about that time. About 2:30. Yeah, about 2:30 at night. Once I finish this one, I'm actually going to probably head on out for the evening, morning, whatever time it is where you guys are. Is there anything you guys are looking forward to with Magic coming out? Anything that's looking good, or that potentially you're hoping might happen? Keep seeing it spike. Keep thinking it's hmm. Bulwark Ox, another one of those fantastic creatures for the deck. This one is because it's a low mana, um, it's a low mana protection creature that I can revive every turn at this point. Till the end of turn, creatures gain hexproof and indestructible. So at least on my turn, or really on my opponent's turns, is when it's actually important. Um, every turn, if I have nothing else to revive, I will always revive the Ox. Enduring Scale Lord. Here it is. The dragon I was talking to you about earlier that I thought it was an Arashan Sovereign. It's actually an Enduring Scale Lord. Um, whole whopping 8 cents. Mind you, it did get a reprinting, but that's fine. This is the copy of it that I was actually given. Was the original Cons block, because that's all that existed. honestly. That's because cons came out right before I started playing, like right before. Um, because Fate Reforged was, I think, the first. Yeah, Fate Reforged was the first pack I ever opened. Uh, which going back like an hour and a half of real life time, the card Monastery Mentor was very popular in quite a few formats at that point. Um, it never got banned in Commander, but at this point we've gone to a point where it's just kind of not that important anymore. Oh, and there goes that. Did not mean to drop that card. I have to be careful picking it up. I have... there we go. This is another just a good one to have around. It's a nice protection spell, if you want to call it a protection spell. But the Malamet Explorer, making sure nobody casts anything during my turn unless it's dead and gone, is fantastic. Got the Ulamog here. There you go, Horizon Canopy, another land that just genuinely it hurts to tap it. There we go. A whopping $1. Thanks, Doctor Who, for dropping what used to be a massive massive uh, card for standard, or not for standard, but for modern. Huge piece of the mana base was the Horizon Canopy, Silent Clearing, those kind of cards. I can't remember. I don't know what I think it's just a pain land, is what it's called. There we go. Another fantastic deck to put a Reanimate in. It's kind of amusing. Grim Tutor, great card for the deck. Not normally something that I would really include as one of the tutors when so many better ones exist. But honestly, losing one life is not as threatening, not only in Commander, but I mean just in general. It's not nearly as scary as it used to be. I've gotten past the fear of the phrase, your life is a resource. Some people are a little bit more loosey-goosey about the usage of their life. I try not to block with my face. Which card is this? Oh, I'm a goofball. It's a Disciple of Frailes. I've got it to the land side. That's why I couldn't remember what it was. City of Brass. No? Yeah, Brass, please. Not the other one. It is amusing that that came up first, but not really what I'm looking for. Apparently the deck also has a Vamp Tutor. I feel like every morning is you ever see oh, we just came in this morning and bought something. Like at the card shop, it always feels like this morning was right before you got there. But that's typical at this point, I feel like. Like you go in looking for certain cards, or like when Lorwyn comes out, I'm probably gonna be looking for quite a bit of stuff. Honestly, I feel like Lorwyn's gonna be the last time I buy like a box of cards for a bit of time. I'm really hoping that what is it called? Reality Fracture. I'm hoping that Reality Fracture is handled well, because it is the end of just the whole saga that we've been working on for I don't know how long at this point. Um, I know in the story we've got too many people meddling with too many different things at once. Um, hmm. What number is this? 283. Why am I not able to? It should be this one. There we go. Yeah, I suppose that is the one I already own, so can't really complain about that. It's already in the list. Another forest, please. Thank you. Tuskguard Captain and the Abzan Falconer. Easily the heart and soul of this deck. Because what makes lifelink better? Trample. Trample makes lifelink better. Staff of Completion is great. I don't really have an issue. As long as I can get the Abzan Battle Priest, I really don't have an issue with using my life as just this absolutely disgustingly like squanderable life source. Not life source. Resource. Nope. Um, it's not the version of what I've got for insurance purposes. I'll switch over to this and make it foil. Ta-da! This deck is actually a deck that I've got an Aether Flux Reservoir in. If I typed properly. There we go. Yeah, I gotta go to bed soon. Glad I'm almost done this deck. Oh, this is something. I bought a copy of Greed. Um, Tried to get it in etch foil as a joke, and I paid for a copy of the etched foil, which hilariously enough is actually cheaper than the normal foil. So if you're ever looking into that, check to see if the the textured foil is actually more expensive. My suggestion is that honestly they just need to. Dude, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I've lost the plot. Just trying to finish this deck before I nod off in my chair, which is kind of wild because I've gotten plenty of sleep, and honestly today wasn't that like exciting in any way, shape, or form at all. I mean, it was exciting in. Nope, that's the wrong one. Whoopsie daisies. Can you hold still? Thank you. That's the wrong number. Um, like we had somebody try to. I almost clicked it again. We had somebody try to steal over $1,000 worth of merchandise at the shop today. And you know, it probably would have been a lot worse, but again, it snowed, so there wasn't really a lot of stuff going on. Just a boring old Sunday. But I had fun, I suppose. Oop, there's something in the sleeve. Stargaze is a fantastic card. I'm very glad that I figured out to put it in here. Because what do? You lose some life, you gain some life. It's great. And honestly, the best part with Baitor on the board is the fact that it's if you grab the Arbor Adherent, you can really dump some mana into that. Here's another one, Salt Flats. Another Tempest land that is just, again, not that great. Murmuring Bosk, if I tap for black or white, also does me a damage, which is why it's in here. Mm, there we go. The Verges from Aether Drift were great. I'm glad they actually managed to. They're still making very creative, non-basic lands, and I think that's really a credit to them that they're not really running out of ideas here. Move this down here. There we go. Kishla Village is a great land. Let's just surveil, which basically means I'm throwing that stuff into the graveyard. This deck's biggest enemy is a Bajuka Bog at the wrong time. And as much as I love a good two-card there we go. Tenacity. Uh, love myself a combo as much as the next person, especially if it only involves 2 cards. But I figured the snake would be a bad influence on whatever mouse they decide to throw into the metaphorical maze. I feel like I'm missing some basic lands. There we go, there's something. No? Alright, first off, hide the odd and the Ozolith. Wonder when they're gonna reprint that. I know they probably could have already. But they're waiting. Gonna devalue it most likely with a bad secret layer. Probably gonna be that dragon one, actually. The one that they had to cancel. What was the... Oh man, what was that? It was Monster Hunter, man. I'm glad that they canceled that instead of just running out a massive pile of garbage that wasn't worth the paper it was printed on. Like the Spider-Man set. But they did a good job not being complete and total morons with that, which was nice. I just wish that they would have done it, I don't know, 3-4 years prior, which would have been even better. But then we wouldn't have all the fun additions of Warhammer into the Magic universe or Doctor Who. I'm severely convinced this is all a running gag. And it's part of the channel's um, byline is that this is just actually just a running gag for keeping Emrakul entertained while she's hanging out in Innistrád's moon. Is the people in charge of the lore have just given Emrakul cable, and she's finally started using it, which is why we've run into Spider-Man and TMNT and Avatar, Doctor Who, even though, yes, I'm aware it's not like cable. Well, that is cable, but it's more BBC. Anyways, I think it's funny, either way, that they've decided to go this route. Um, as I said before, like an hour ago, I feel like it could have been handled better, but I know that there's probably a lot of contract obligations and other stuff to worry about that we don't know, and they're not telling us. Mostly because it's probably, contained behind an NDA. So do with that what you will. But I'm gonna end the stream here. I probably had this up for what, an hour and a half, probably 2 hours maybe. I don't know, not really sure how long this is going. It took me a little bit of time to get off the ground because couldn't get my chat working. But now here we are. So I hope you guys have hope you have a fantastic, I'll say evening. Hope you have a fantastic evening. And overall, I'll see you guys probably Tuesday night. I want to go over whatever new spoilers have come out in the last couple days for whatever that Marvel set is, and whatever else has decided to drop down um, into the pool of shenanigans. I know we got a new Lorwyn spoiler from one of the stories, but again, I haven't read the story. I don't know what their deal is. I'll figure it out. In the meantime, guys, um, the archive will return. I will see you on Tuesday, probably around midnight. Have a good night.